Hello and welcome to another episode of the AutoTrader Podcast. My name is Wandile Sishi.
And I'm George Mienie.
And boy, do we have an interesting episode for you today on this cold winter day. I don't know how you're feeling about this weather, George, but I'm absolutely dying.
I thought we had this conversation earlier.
When do we have? Oh, when
You're trying to kill me.
with the heat of the rooms.
For everybody's benefit. Wandi tried to kill me this morning.
Where are you trying to kill me?
I'm just putting it on record. Wandi tried to kill me this morning.
I just want to say that it wasn't me. Like I promise you, it was not me.
Everybody knows when the heater is on, Wandi's had the remote.
I did walk into the room and I was like, wow, the temperature is perfect in here. So
It was like 52 degrees.
Maybe in Fahrenheit, but it was perfectly 24 degrees, in Celsius. So I think it was perfect.
I walked in there, I immediately started sweating.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wearing a coat, I'm wearing a jersey, I'm wearing long johns.
You know why? I mean, I'm not saying I can feel the temperatures down, but I take I'm trying. I take a cold plunge in the pool.
Yeah.
Multiple times a week.
Yeah.
In the morning.
And that keeps you warm?
Well, it's it's this hot and cold therapy. Whether it works in the long run or not, I think it will. But what I have found is that it changes your perception of temperature.
Okay.
So it's not that you don't feel the cold.
You're just kind of more accustomed to.
You just like, okay, it's cold.
Kind of like people I think it's in Finland. Where's Valtteri Bottas from? Is it Finland? I think it's from Finland.
Yeah. My relationship with cold and hot has changed. Because
of it. Well, you're glowing. I'll tell you that much. You do look like you're glowing now. So
glowing as in like red.
You're just glowing. It's like this new shine.
It's new shine. It's not the makeup, I promise.
It's not the makeup. Anyway, so today we have a very interesting episode. So we'll be talking about it's basically cars made easy episode. We'll be talking about some car terminology that you need to know when you're buying and selling a car. And then there's a very interesting article on the website right now that speaks to on-the-road fees. So unpacking a little bit what that is. And then lastly, we'll just unpack how much you're paying for a car now in 2023 versus 2021, because obviously that has changed.
I like this terminology thing. A lot of people don't understand these things. And, quite often when people read something, they, Google's a big benefit now because you can just quickly Google it on your phone.
Yeah.
But in, 10, 20 years ago, somebody said something like, what is MIDP? And you didn't know, you wouldn't ask.
Exactly. I was about to say exactly that. I think a lot of people go to the dealership. They do their research. I think a lot of people do research, but you don't know what you don't know, right? So they just get there and they told a bunch of stuff, lots of terminology, lots of terms, and they don't want to, just say, what does that mean? Just to kind of, avoid the embarrassment or whatever the reason is.
GFV. What is GFV?
Like GFV, and we're going to unpack exactly what some of that is. The car buying process is very daunting. It's very, there's lots of, for first-time buyers specifically, there's lots of things that you should ask, ultimately. And if you're there alone specifically, it may become something that's, costs you additional money when you could have avoided it.
Exactly.
So is there any terminology that you want to sort of kick off?
No, I think let's run through the list. The first one is annual percentage rate or finance rate.
Yes, so this is essentially just the loans interest rate, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably going to be impacted primarily by whatever the repurchase rates is, as well as the interest rates ultimately in the country that you're in.
Well, let's talk to it like, acronyms for dummies.
Yeah.
Is that Dummies book?
Yes, the Dummies series.
Dummies series, yeah. So, I read some of those and I think to myself, this wasn't written for, dummies. This was written for
everyone.
For everyone.
Exactly that.
Anyway.
So let's go through the process maybe. Let's go from the process of, I'm at the dealership right now. What scenario would I be given in annual percentage rates or finance rates?
So let's first understand where this comes from, right? So it comes from the repo rate that the bank. So every country has, in American terms, I think it's called the Federal Reserve. Every country has that arm of
the Reserve Bank in South Africa.
The Reserve Bank, the arm of administration. So repo rate in South Africa today. Okay, so the repo rate is what the Reserve Bank will lend to other banks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the repo rate. At the moment, looks like it's 8.25%.
Yeah, and that essentially will impact every Well, because the banks basically get hit with this repo rates,
Yes.
your finance for whatever you have also gets increased by that rate.
Yes. So that's the repo rate. Then you get the prime interest rate. Okay, the prime interest rate is the rate that the banks will charge to a consumer. It's the prime interest rate, and that at the moment is 11.75.
So the repo rate right now is it's 8 points.
8.25, and 11.75 is the prime interest rate. So that is 3.5% higher than the repo rate, right? So that's the margin the bank makes. And the bank might give you prime less 1, prime less 2, prime less whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Still above the repo rate.
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way. The bank will never give you prime less 3.5.
Yeah. Because they're not making any money.
They're not making any money.
Yeah, they're just giving you money.
They're just giving you money for free.
Yeah.
Like you might as well just go and lend it from the Reserve Bank.
Yeah.
Okay, which is never going to happen. Yeah. So you probably never push a bank to make a loss on the money.
Yeah. Well, you'll never be able to get them to agree to that.
Exactly. So it's a stretch to get prime less 1.
Yeah.
It's an almost impossibility to get prime less 2. I don't think those days exist anymore because the interest rates are so low. So that's kind of like the why this thing exists when you're financing your car. So the finance rates will never be the prime rates. I mean, the riskier you are as a consumer, the higher above prime your interest rate's going to be. So the bank's going to assess you, your history, how you've paid your accounts, how you've paid your credit cards, how you've paid your previous car, and they're going to make a call. And then they're going to take a risk on you based on an interest rate. Yeah.
So I think it's important to also note that when you do go and buy a car or I guess a house from the bank, or where you're getting financing at least from it, it's important to not just take the first prime lending rate that you've been given. I think usually when you go to a dealership, they will ask all the banks really to see what's the best rate that you can get.
Yeah. So I mean, I had this discussion the other day with someone who banks with a private bank, and they don't like the fact that the dealer asked them to please submit documents because the dealer could get a better rate than the private bank. Yeah. Likely better rate. And the dealer's right.
Yeah.
And the reason the dealer's right is because the dealer has a relationship with the banks. They do 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, 300 cars a month, sometimes financed through the banks, right? So the banks are incentivized to preference the dealer. So you as a private individual, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how many private bankers you have. The likelihood of you beating a dealer's interest rate from the bank is low.
Just because of the bulk of the amount of cars that they the business they're giving to the bank ultimately is just...
Yes. Now, think about it in another way, right? So your interest rate likely through a dealer is going to be lower than any private bank that you can go through. So don't think you're clever by, I've got a private bank letter. Yeah. Come on.
Trust the dealership. In fact, I think
but there's a do both. But you're not gonna probably beat the dealer. But there's another factor, and that factor is if you allow the dealer to do the finance for you, right, on your behalf, chances are you'll be able to do an entire deal. There are 3 legs to a car deal. The first leg to a car deal is your trade-in.
Yeah.
Important leg to the car deal. Very important leg, right? Just because you can get 10 grand more by selling to a car buying service. I'm talking against our car buying service as well, which is instant offer. But the principles are still true, right? If you're going to go and sell through a third party service, you're going to sell your car. And you're going to get 10 grand more than the dealer's offering you, right? And then you're going to go get your own independent finance from your private banker. And then you're going to go buy the car from the dealership, right? 3 separate tracks. I will put my neck on the block that when you do it that way, overall, if you add all that entire deal together, you're worse off than by doing everything at that dealership. And the reason is as follows. Okay. Dealer earns a margin on the car that he's selling you. Okay. Dealer is incentivized to give you a fair price for your trade-in. Okay. And the dealer gets commission from the bank for doing the finance deal. It's a fact. Like nobody's hiding away from that, right? So those three things are there. So the dealer will likely look at all three of those sources of income because now he's going to sell the car you're giving him at a profit. Okay. You can't take that away from the dealer.
That's how he makes
his money, right? So if you take those three things and you give all of them to the dealership,
he's obviously going to give you a little bit of a reduced rates.
He's going to look at the deal in its entirety.
Yes. The full package. Yeah.
And he's going to say, okay, I can get you this from a finance point of view. I can give you this for the trade-in, and I can do the car that you want to buy at this. And that or should I say three legs of that stool.
The trifecta. the trifecta deal. Yeah.
The three legs of that stool is going to get you the best deal. I'm telling you now, that's the best way to buy a car. Is trade your bloody car in and use the finance from the dealership. What the thing you should do, which you mentioned just now, the thing you should do is ask the dealer to be transparent with all the finance applications that come back. Okay, 100%. The dealer has to be transparent about it.
Yeah,
and then you choose.
Yeah, it's not like behind a closed door and they're like, oh, this is the best I could do for you. They are gonna. Yeah,
don't believe that story, right? Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. In today's world, most times it's true. But if a dealer says, "Oh, it's the best I can do for you," attempt to prove it.
100%.
Be transparent. But the other thing is, then when you get the finance back, don't just accept it.
Take it back to your bank or?
No, not back. Your private banker ain't going to do this.
I love my private banker.
Your private banker is not into car finance. He's not a dealer. He sits behind him. He's a spreadsheet jockey. Anyway.
I'm good friends with them.
Your private banker ain't going to.
So what do you do?
Anyway, so the thing you should do, right, is say to the dealer, all right, I like this bank's deal, but the interest rate doesn't suit me. Please, can you push for more?
Okay.
And the dealer will do it for you.
Yeah.
Remember, dealer has a relationship with the bank. You don't.
With all the banks.
Yes, with all the banks.
Yeah.
Chances are, if you choose the bank that dealer does most of the business with,
it's going to be a bit lower than...
That bank is going to be able to reduce the rate on the dealer's request.
Okay.
Not always. If you've got a shit history.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about that.
I can't solve for your history as a dealer. It's just not going to happen, right?
100%. Yeah.
So if you've got a crappy history from a finance point of view, you're not going to be able to solve that problem. So for me, and we totally
digress.
Totally digress, but it's okay. It's important.
It is important.
From an interest point of view, and a car deal point of view.
When you see the finance rates, essentially, I think two things were there important is try and see if you can get a full package deal because it's going to decrease your price anyways. And then with regards to the finance rates, try and see, go back to...
I suppose the message is don't try and do all three legs separately.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might win, but I'd say 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a worse package by doing all three legs separately. Go to the dealer and trade the car in, use the dealer's banking system, buy the car that you're looking for.
And that first finance rate that you get is not necessarily the one that's the be all and end all. I think you can wiggle away. You can wiggle and have the discussion with the dealership.
Yep.
Ultimately. Next one, OTPs or offer to purchase. All these are just acronyms. But yeah, offer to purchase. What is that? So that's, to my understanding, that's just basically the bulk of, the contract or the agreement between you and the dealership that you're going to be purchasing the
Well, it's an offer.
Yeah.
It's so an offer is a one-sided thing until it becomes a contract. Okay, so an offer to purchase is I offer you this amount of money and I sign that.
Do you accept?
That's you need to now as the dealer accept the offer to purchase, right? Quite often the offer to the deal gets struck verbally.
Will the offer to purchase be the final I guess contract or agreement between you and the
an offer to purchase can incorporate the purchase and sale agreement, right?
Yeah.
But there are two separate steps there. Effectively, there's the offer to purchase, and then there's the sale and purchase agreement, right?
Yes.
So the one's an offer, the other one is a contract, and that can be combined. But I'm not a lawyer, so but I've been in this game for long enough, and then.
Is it if you sign the offer to purchase, is it legally binding in terms of you have to follow through?
Well, that depends if there's punitive clauses in there if you want to back out. So you just got to read the offer to purchase. So if I make an offer to purchase, the dealer accepts, then there's usually a cascade of events that have to occur before the deal's done.
Of course, yeah.
So chances are you have to pay a deposit right there and then, right? Yeah. Non-refundable, refundable, it depends on the circumstance, but usually the offer to purchase might have punitive clauses that, like it's almost like a don't waste my time clause. Yeah,
100%. Next terminology. So these are also African based. I think that's very important. So NaTIS documents. That's sometimes when you buying a car, the dealership might ask you to bring your NaTIS documents. What does that mean? So
that's like title deed. Okay, so that's the NaTIS document. It's like a title deed to a house. So when you're watching an American movie and the cop pulls the car over, license and registration, please.
Yes, exactly that.
You know what I mean? Okay, so there's three documents.
Love that accent.
A license and registration, please. Step out of the vehicle, sir.
What's happening?
Put your hands on the bonnet. No, put your hands on the hood.
Yeah. Exactly that.
Guy grabs his hoodie.
So in South Africa, basically what that is, what just happened right now was the cop asking for your NaTIS documents?
No, it's not.
Okay, well then.
Okay.
The more you know.
So there's three documents. There is the NaTIS document, which is like the title deed. You'll keep that very safe. If your car's financed, that NaTIS document will be at the bank.
At the bank, yeah. So
you won't have possession of it. If you own the car outright, you will have possession of the NaTIS document. Okay, so that's the title deed. Effectively, that's the document that you will need to produce if you want to change ownership, if you want to prove the car is yours. That document.
So in more cases than not, this is more when you either trading in a vehicle or if you are selling a car. It's not necessarily if you're buying a car. You don't need any NaTIS documents then.
No, you don't take a NaTIS document. The NaTIS document belongs to the car. It's whoever has it's the title deed of the car, ownership, right? Then you've got the registration document. It's different. Okay, so that registration document gives the vehicle the ability to drive on the road. Okay, so that's your license disc. So when the cop in America says license and registration is the disc on the windscreen, right?
Yeah.
I don't think America laws require the license disc on the windscreen. You have to carry it in the glove box. It's just a piece of paper. That's a piece of paper. Same thing. And then license, obviously, your license card.
100%. Then you alluded to this one, guaranteed future value, GFV. This is one of those where it's it's a bit more confusing. What is a guaranteed future value? Yeah,
so there have been these instances or cases where a OEM guarantees the value of a car after a certain period of time, and they will buy the car back at that price.
Okay. OEM being the car manufacturer.
The car manufacturer guarantees it, and then the dealer executes on it.
Yeah.
And in many instances, that guaranteed price at some future time means that you can drive the car in there, give them the keys, and they give you that amount of money for the car
within that period that's been
at a particular date.
Okay,
at a particular date, or it has a calculation over time.
Does a used car have a guaranteed future value?
Only if it's still within its period and the warranty, right? Okay. So the OEM could have those, but they're schemes. And this happens when you enter into a lease agreement.
Okay.
To my recollection, BMW's had leasing plans where they've got guaranteed buybacks. Yes. Mercedes has had guaranteed buybacks in the past. I remember in the days of the C-Class when they were so popular, they would guarantee the value of the C-Class after a certain period of time.
There's conditions that need to be met with this, right? So
you've got to be in warranty, fully service history, mileage. There's a whole bunch of hurdles you have to jump through.
Okay, and then there's two more left. Market value. So obviously we get trade value and you get market value. What's the difference between those two terms?
So this is kind of a thing that's been now hotly debated over the last decade.
Yeah.
There's a couple of terms. Some of them, we've coined and we've brought the terminology to market. Some of them been there around the world. So the first one is book value. Now, the book value was referred to the old system where there was a book.
Physical book.
It was a physical book with all the trade and retail prices in that book. Okay, so book value. That largely doesn't exist anymore.
Because of the internet, because of transparency, because of
all of that stuff.
A lot of things, yeah.
So right now, market value could refer to either a retail value or a trade value. Okay. Now, retail value is what can you sell it for in the open market? What can you sell it for on AutoTrader? What would you get for it? That's a kind of estimated retail value. And that fluctuates all the time.
Yeah.
You come to AutoTrader and do a valuation on your car today. In a month's time, it could be different. And in a week's time, it could be different.
Based off of, mileage, year model.
No, it's not. It's based on current market conditions. I mean, you do these numbers all the time. Yeah. So you see these fluctuations.
All the time, yeah.
So retail value doesn't change. It doesn't constantly go down. It doesn't constantly go up. It fluctuates. And it generally, for a used car, trends down. Okay? So it's going to go up and down, but it generally trends down because the car depreciates. And then you've got trade value. Now, this is a big story of contention because historically, the trade value of a car was calculated based on transactional values, historical. What did that car actually trade for before, right? Whereas in today's world, the best indicator of trade value is what's called retail back trade value. You take what you can sell it in the open market, less your profit, less reconditioning costs. That is the trade value.
That's usually done by the dealership, right? They'll when they're buying a car.
Yes, and our product Fusion that our customers use.
100%. So
calculate.
So price ratings is that's basic. That's what that is, right?
It's the basic premise of price ratings. Yes. Well, no. Price ratings for the consumer on the front end of the site is not the retail back. Is retail.
It's retail value.
Yes, retail. Yes. Trade value is in the Fusion product that our customers use.
Is retail back.
Which is retail back. Yes.
100%. Last one, gap insurance or gap protection.
Gap cover. I mean, this exists also. This exists in medical aid. This exists in other insurance. This is really just the shortfall between what you owe on the car and what the car's worth.
100%. Okay, yes. I hope that's. I think we all got through a lot of terminologies there, and I hope that's kind of made your buying process a little bit easier. Running out of time, there's one thing I wanted to talk about. So on the road fees, which is another terminology which dealerships have been using for a while. There's been headlines recently of dealerships having to pay back the on-the-road fees. I'm not too sure if you have any insights into this. I read the article a little bit, but maybe you can explain exactly what on-the-road fees are. Well,
I mean, this is a point of hot debate, and it has been for a long time. There are costs involved in getting the car from being in stocked form to being on your name, license and registration, a roadworthy check, all that stuff done. There are costs involved to that process.
Yeah.
And I don't want to judge what is right and what is wrong in terms of those costs. All I can say is that what this debate is doing is just creating transparency.
100%.
And that's all that needs to happen, is there needs to be transparency.
So these on-the-road fees are essentially just services that the dealership sort of
provides.
It does provide on behalf of, I guess, the person who's buying the car. And there's a fee that's associated with them. So this include pre-delivery, certificate of roadworthiness, fuel, initial fuel, a few things.
So, clearance certificates, the car comes with a full tank of fuel. You you can't assume that the dealership's going to give you a car with a full tank of fuel.
Full tank of fuel, yeah.
And if you do have to pay for that full tank of fuel, chances are you're going to pay what the dealership paid. And so those fees, what is included in on the road fees? I suppose that's the hot debate.
Yes.
And as long as there's transparency, I guess.
100%. If you want a full understanding of the entire article and what those fees are, the article's on the site, so you can check out that in great detail. That's pretty much all the time we have for today. I think we've definitely clarified some things, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Wandile.
Search AutoTrader.